Hey guys, my name is Jasmine and today we're going to dive into Fauvism. Before we get started, I'm going to tell you what you need. You need at least one piece of paper, colored pencils, crayons, a drawing pencil, which is also a graphite pencil, an eraser, and a Sharpie, any kind of Sharpie that you want. So Fauvism is an art style that is basically just really bright colors and bold, dark outlines. You'll see what I mean. We're going to dive into it with mostly our bright colors. We're going to think about saturation, which is how vibrant, how bold a color is, how much it stands out to you. Kind of like a neon kind of situation. If you think of saturation, the color is really there. So with our artwork here, you can do whatever you want for your subject. I'm going to keep it pretty simple, and I'm going to do a landscape. And to get started, I'm going to use my colored pencils and I'm going to do an outline. And another thing about Fauvism, is that it's very unnatural kind of color. So as you think of a landscape, lots of like greens, maybe some yellows, some browns, when you turn it into like Fauvism, it might be like blues and purples. Things are kind of unnaturally colored in Fauvism. So in doing my outline here, I'm actually going to use a pink for my outline, and this is just so I get like an idea of how everything looks. You can use your colored pencil if you can use a colored pencil like I'm about to use, or you can use your drawing pencil, as long as you can cover up your outline. So I'm gonna go with my pink. I'm gonna do some mountainy kind of shapes. And this is just so I have my idea of where everything will be when I get started. We might have a little sun, some clouds. There we go. Maybe some closer mountains. All right. So that is my outline. That's my light outline. I'm going to dive in with my crayons here. And another thing about Fauvism is that it's very gestural. It's mostly done with painting. So you could see all the brush strokes. It's very it's not like a smooth sweep of color like you might normally do with colored pencils and crayons. So we're going to kind of mimic that. I'm going to grab some colors that I think are particularly vibrant and wonderful to go along with our Fauvism. Another thing with Fauvism is that to really help with your saturation, with how bold everything can look, you can look at your color wheel, which you have here. If you look at your color wheel, Fauvism uses a lot of complementary colors close together. So for example, with our piece, I could do yellow and violet because those are complementary colors, yellow and purple. You might know violet is purple, they're the same color. But yellow and purple are complementary colors, green and red are complementary colors, and orange and blue are complementary colors. So in Fauvism, we can use those pieces for those colors together, kind of close to one another, and they might look more vibrant than they might look like if you say, if you put like red and orange next to each other, they're not gonna look as vibrant if you put like red and green next to each other. So that's one example of how you can also make your colors brighter using our complementary colors. And I'm gonna go ahead, quit talking for a second. I'm gonna dive into this. I'm gonna start using my red and my greens together. And those are gonna be my complementary colors, make them look a little bit more vibrant than what they might look like otherwise. And once again, I'm gonna kind of use like a really quick, kind of like short scribble to kind of mimic brush strokes. I'm not gonna do a full sweep of color like I might normally do. It's like you're doing tiny scribbles all close together. And you don't have to do a landscape like I did. Like I mentioned before, You can do whatever subject you want. You can do a self-portrait if you want. You can do a portrait of someone that you know. You can do your pet if you know that you have a pet. Know that you have a pet. If you have a pet, you can draw your pet. You can make this piece based off of your pet. You can do whatever you want, as long as you do it in a Fauvism kind of style. I'm gonna switch colors. I'm gonna go to a green. And notice how, as I'm coloring, I'm kind of keeping the shape of my mountain. I'm having it kind of rounded. You can do whatever you want though. If you want to color like straight across your entire piece, you can do that. But keep in mind how things are shaped and how you can use the shape of things and the flow of your marks to make it either help the shape or kind of just ignore it. It's all up to you. It's up to you what you want to do with that. I'm gonna switch to this red-orange for these mountains up top that are closer. And once again, looking at my color wheel, red-orange has a complementary color of blue-green. So I might add both blue and green up here. I'm gonna grab 2 colored pencils. Another subject that you could do if you're having trouble thinking of a subject, or if you want to do another one after this one that you're already working on, you can do a tree. You can do a tree that all of its leaves are different colors and that are kind of gesturally marked like this right here. That's another option for you. But keep in mind your complementary colors and how your complementary colors can work together. Also keep in mind how hard you press down on your coloring utensil. The harder you press down, the more saturation you're gonna get. And that's what we kind of want with this piece here, since we're going after the Fauvism kind of look. We want it to be really bold and saturated and really colorful. The color is really there. It's not like a pastel-y kind of thing. If you want to do a pastel-y kind of thing, you can totally do that later. But right here with this piece here, we're thinking about how bold we can get our colors, how we can get them all to work together and look more bold depending on what colors we put next to what other colors. This kind of reminds me of like when you're up in a plane, if you have been up in a plane, and when you look out of the window, And you look down on all the grassland and all the fields and everything, and it's very like patchworky. It's kind of like a quilt, if you know what a quilt is, which is basically a blanket that's pieced together. That's what this reminds me of. Going in again with this orange. Complementary color of orange is blue, so I'm going to use my blue here. I'm going to use another blue. Before I used my color pencil blue. This is my crayon blue. This one is honestly a little bit more bold looking. It's a little bit more brighter than my my color pencil blue. If you really want to experiment, you can also use your opposite hand color. Since we're already kind of doing scribbles, and you don't need too much like hand control when you're doing scribbles, you can test out how you scribble with your opposite hand, which I honestly might do here in a little bit. There's that mountain. Move on to this one. And go back with that green color. I like this green color a lot. And of course, if your colors cross over one another, that's totally fine. And it's also a chance to experiment and see how colors look together when they're like blended, when they go over one another. There's a lot you could test out with that. Move on to the back mountains. Orange and blue. I'm gonna do a darker blue. My color pencil blue. For my middle mountains, which are all right here, I'm going to do purple and yellow, since that is a complementary color combination that I have not used yet. So kind of testing and experimenting with our scribbles. And like I mentioned before, you can test and see how you scribble with your opposite hand, which I am doing now. It's not going to feel natural because you normally don't scribble or write with your opposite hand. Unless you already can, then that's cool. But it's fun to test things out and do things different. Here are those scribbles. I'm gonna use my purple colored pencil. Do some scribbling. When you do scribbles with your opposite hand, you might also notice that maybe that's what you've kind of been trying to do the entire time. There's that. Gonna move on to my sky. I'm gonna do the pink sun. Still scribbled. Maybe a pink and a red sun. I'm gonna do green clouds. And one of the last things, if you remember from before, I mentioned that Fauvism has these bright bold colors, like how we just did with our complementary colors, but it also has kind of dark outlines with your subject. So I'm going to do that in a second, but let me get this out of the way. Also, this entire time we have been using this kind of scribbly technique. We have technically made a pattern because we have used repeated colors and they're all like in this kind of flow and form. So that is, we have used a pattern in our piece here. So I'm actually going to use one more color for my clouds. My clouds are green and yellow. 2 different kinds of green and 1 kind of yellow. Which those are not complementary colors, but they look cool together. So the last thing that we're going to do, I have my purple, I have a blue. If you want, you can use a black, but a dark color. You can use a dark color for your outlines. So I'm basically just going to do what I have done and continue this kind of scribble kind of action, but I'm going to outline all of my shapes with these 2 colors. So here we go. Basically just outlining. I think I will color my sky. I was debating on if I wanted to color my sky or not, but I think I will after I'm done outlining all my shapes. And if you use 2 colors, like I'm using 2 colors, you can kind of blend them together. So like right here, I had my blue, and I'm going with my purple, and my clouds outline. And the very last thing I'm going to do is do my sky. Let's see. Let's do purple. I'm going to do purple and I'm gonna do purple and yellow, maybe some orange. And like how we have been doing with our scribble pattern, you can continue a scribble pattern, or you can do a scribble pattern plus some like swirly movements. You can change up your pattern. You can do just an entire background pattern if you want. That's not even really focused on scribbles. If you want your sky to be different, I mean. Or if you want your sky to be the same kind of scribble pattern happening like with whatever else you've done, do that. This is all up to you, but I'm gonna do like a kind of wavy pattern for my sky. But I'm continuing with my scribbles here. Again, I have purple, yellow, and an orange color that I'm going to use for my sky. My wavy sky here. There we go. There is our Fauvism inspired piece. So once again, Fauvism is an art style that is based largely in bright colors. Ours is very saturated, as you can see. We use complementary colors to kind of help with that saturation, because when you put complementary colors close to one another, each color looks a little bit more vibrant. And once again, our complementary colors are yellow and purple, blue and orange, and red and green, each of those 2 pairs. And we also talked about pattern, which is what we have done here. We have patterns of color. They're all moving in a particular direction depending on where they are in my piece here. Yours might be a little bit different, but you can kind of experiment with your patterns and how you scribble around and how you lay your color down on your paper. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys make more of these. Obviously, there's a lot that you can do with your colors and your dark outlines, and I hope you guys do just that and make lots more. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.